Esther said, make some jokes. It's too late. I was trying to be the one that had nothing that anyone would laugh at, but someone already laughed. But I guess that was Esther's joke. It says the Apostle Paul says in 2 Timothy 4, he says he's nearing the end of his life and his ministry. And he's writing to young Timothy, and he says, for I am already being poured out as a drink offering, and the time of my departure has come. And in our service earlier today at the graveside, Jack referred to this phrase, the time of my departure has come. And it was used originally in the nautical world. It was used for the untying of the ropes that would hold the boat to the dock. The time of my departure has come. It was a term that Paul was used to. He had been on the dock and had been on the ship many times when they unloosed the ropes and the ship would leave port. I love that because Nanna loved to ride in a boat. She loved the Bay of Quinte, where she spent most of her life. And she was familiar with that idea of taking a trip, going out in an evening on the boat. The time of my departure has come. She is someone who truly was ready for the time of her departure, though she didn't know when that was. We called her the cat with 9 lives until we got to 9, and she went past that. Really, there was many times in the last few years where we thought, this is the end for Nanna. But it wasn't. But every time she would say, well, I guess the Lord has me here for another reason. She lived being a person ready for her time of departure, though she didn't know when it would come. When I heard that Nanna had died, I was not sad. And I just thought about that just now again. 25 years ago when Papa died, I remember the funeral here, and I remember not being sad. I wasn't sad, and that's almost troubled me over the years, that I wasn't sad that my Papa died. And I think what it was a childlike faith, knowing that, like she said, that he was in a better place. He was with Jesus. But I wasn't sad this time, and I'm honestly not sad now. My only feeling, the thing that I was struck by when I heard that she had passed, was that she did it. She finished the course. She kept the faith. She made it. She persevered until the very, very end. The apostle says after that I fought the good fight, I finished the race. Her race went 95 years, most of those with the Lord. She kept the faith. She persevered in faith. I'm a pastor, and most of my congregation is senior adults. And I am often disturbed and saddened by the fact that I have 80, 90-year-olds in my church, and none of their kids, and none of their grandkids, and none of their great-grandkids. And I know them well, and I know that their kids and grandkids are not part of a church anywhere. Entire generations lost. God doesn't owe us the fact that 8 grandkids out of 8 could stand up here and testify to the grace of God. He doesn't owe that to our family, but he's given it to us. By his grace we have that. And I think we can truly say that he used the testimony of a woman whose faith was real. It was a living faith. It wasn't a sentimental faith. She didn't talk about Jesus and have her hymns and go to church on Sundays. It was real for her. It was everything. It was in every day. It was in every hour. It was in every conversation. It was in every letter. It was a real living faith. And it persevered to the very end. She kept the faith. She kept praying to the very end. She kept witnessing to the very end. She was very active in our church in children's ministry. And as I was trying to describe to my 3-year-old daughter that Nana was going to die soon. And she said, "Why?" I said, "Well, she's very, very old." And then a couple days later we were talking and I asked her how old she was, and she said 3. And "Daddy, how old are you?" "I'm 35. And I said, "I'm very old." And I didn't think anything of it, but she got really quiet and said, "Daddy, you're really old." I said, I don't want you to go to heaven. Don't leave us." And that was just a few days ago, and that allowed me to begin and my wife to continue conversations about what it meant that Nana went to heaven and how we can go to heaven. And then just last night I got a call from my wife, and my daughter got on the phone, and she said, "Daddy, I'm going to go to heaven. I believed in Jesus with all my heart." So she's 3, and we don't know the time exactly when we come to faith, but through the testimony of Nana, even in her departure, she's continued, she's kept on, even after her death, witnessing of the grace of her Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. She persevered in joy. She persevered in love for a Savior. Apostle says, "Henceforth there is laid up for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day, and not only to me, but to all those who have loved his appearing." She looked forward to the coming of Christ. She thought maybe in her life she hoped for it. She came to see Christ now, face to face. She didn't ever give up on us. You're right. She never gave up on us. She never gave up on her Savior. And that's what struck me, is that the same sinful heart that I'm well aware with because it's in me, and the same sinful heart that you have, is the same sinful heart that she had. She was a sinner. And so when I heard that she died, I was struck by the fact that a sinner with a wicked heart could be held so close to a Savior for so long, through trials, through doubts. I'm struck and I'm astounded that she continued to believe until the end. And I'm ultimately struck and astounded by the power of God. She never gave up on a Savior because a Savior never gave up on her. I want to thank God for you, for her fellow believers at Parkdale Baptist Church who visited her over the years, who called her a friend, who sat in small groups with her, who called her to encourage her. I want to thank God for the preachers of the gospel at Parkdale Baptist Church who guided her faith home. It's the end of an era. The era of Nanna Hannah in this world is done. That would not have mattered to her at all. It shouldn't matter to us much. It should ultimately matter that the King of all eras is alive. The Ancient of Days, Jesus, is alive. We want to admit that death is an enemy, and we will all grieve. Death is an enemy because it has the power to separate loved ones for a time. But that's not the last word. The last word is that Jesus has triumphed over death. So we ultimately, all of us and our families, thank God for the crucified and risen Savior who had the power to save sinners, has the power to save sinners by His Spirit and the Word, and saves us until the very end.